In recent years, meaning for about the last century, leadership has really been focused within the parties. So if we start with the Constitution, we discovered the Constitution actually is an okay but not great place to start in terms of figuring out where leadership is. On the House side, we see that the House is going to have a Speaker of the House. What's interesting is there's nothing else said about the Speaker other than there'll be a Speaker of the House. And that there will be, the Vice President is the President of the Senate, and there will be a President pro tem, but nothing more about that. And over time, both chambers have had to fill in the details. And so you can read those words actually and expect a lot of different things that might have happened. And for about the first century of American history, the Speaker kind of very quickly rose to be a party leader. But there really wasn't an articulated leadership structure below the Speaker, and it was highly fluid. On the Senate side, there wasn't a formal leadership position really at all. The Senate experimented with and then abandoned the notion that the Vice President might in fact lead the Senate. That went away. The President pro tem ended up not being a good vessel to throw leadership into. And so, leadership within the Senate for the first century was really kind of a floating coalition of senior senators from whatever the majority party was. And at the late part of the 19th century, party leadership began to coalesce in the Senate.
So congressional leadership is more powerful now than it has been at many points in American history. Not at every point, but for much of the 20th century, the committee chairs were especially powerful. That is less true now today. They're still powerful, but it's less true today than it was then. Today, the leadership in each chamber, so the Speaker and Majority Leader in the House, or the Minority Leader in the House, the Majority and Minority Leader in the Senate, right? They keep closer tabs on their members. They exert more control over their members, and so it's less common to find, for example, a committee chair who's willing to buck the Majority Leader. So the leadership is quite powerful in their control over members. They're also quite powerful in their agenda-setting abilities, especially in the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives can be thought of as a chamber where majority rules, and when I say majority rules, you have to think of majority with a capital M. What we mean when we say majority rules in the House is that the leadership of the majority party rules. There are procedural mechanisms that allow a cross-partisan coalition to thwart the will of the majority leadership, but they're incredibly cumbersome and they're very rarely used. So in general, what the Speaker and the Majority Leader of the House want, they get as far as the House is concerned. Doesn't mean they can get it through the Senate, doesn't mean they can get the President to sign it, but as far as the House is concerned, if they want it, they get it.
The Speaker of the House is really the only clearly defined legislative leadership position in the Constitution. The Senate gets the President pro tem and the Vice President as the presiding officer, but it's not exactly clear who that person would be. And traditionally, the President pro tem essentially has been the senior member of the majority party. But in the House, it says, the Constitution says, the House shall choose its Speaker, which means that the Speaker is an elected position to serve for the House. Now, at that time, when the Constitution was ratified, the Speaker of the House presumably was essentially going to be a parliamentary leader, a person who essentially oversaw the conduct of House business, because that is what the Speaker of the House was in the British Parliament. But over time, and actually over a very short period of time, the Speaker of the House became essentially a political leader, the leader of the majority party within the United States House.
So, like I said, about a century ago, leadership began to really congeal within the two parties. On the House side, with the Speaker being from the majority party, that gives the majority party the ability to control the floor. But then below that as well, a highly articulated structure of majority leader, whips, and other caucus and other committee chairs and bodies grew up starting, let's say in around the teens. So really just about a century ago. The Senate, took a while longer. It's less formal, more informal. But the majority leader did arise again about a century ago, to the point now that the majority leader in the Senate is recognized as being the leader of the Senate, both the parliamentary leader and the political leader. And because it's the majority leader, it comes from the majority party as well. The Senate has followed the lead of the House in the sense that not only is the majority leader the head of the party and kind of the head of the chamber, but there's also a whip operation of both parties to try to bring, the force of party to bear on legislation, and then other subsidiary organizations below that, so that now the House and the Senate really have parallel organizations of members that are dedicated to articulating what the party's vision is, majority and minority, and trying to put that into action somehow.